Welcome to Beyond My Comic Shop. I am your host, Anthony Desiato. Beyond My Comic Shop is a sub-series of My Comic Shop history featuring stories in and around the comic book world. This sub-series was previously known as Flat Squirrel Tales, but following a crisis on Infinite Podcasts, all of my shows now live under the My Comic Shop History podcast feed. This installment originally aired as an episode of Flat Squirrel Tales last season. It features a crash course in cosplay with two special guests. It also helped inspire the upcoming Season 4 of My Comic Shop History, which will focus on Comic-Cons. My Comic Shop History, Beyond My Comic Shop, and My Comic Shop Book Club will all return with new episodes later in 2018. For now, enjoy this presentation of Cosplay Goals. This is our post-New York Comic-Con episode. We're going to be talking about our convention experiences and specifically cosplay. Let me introduce my guests. To my left, we have my wife, the Elektra Nachios to my Matt Murdock, Stephanie Desiato. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be behind the mic again.
I'm also very excited to welcome a new voice to the Flat Squirrel Podcast Network. If you were at New York Comic Con or if you were following the news and photos specifically coming out of the show, there's a good chance you saw my next guest. He cosplayed as Lobo, and I can't wait to pick his brain about everything that went into this amazing cosplay. Please welcome to the show, Justin De Voe.
Hey, everybody. This is awesome, man. I'm all official with headphones and stuff. This is great.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad that we could get you here. So last season on My Comic Shop History, I did a whole season on collecting, and we weren't able to connect and get you on the show then, but I'm so happy to have you here now. Before we get into the convention and cosplay, if we could just touch on your collecting for a moment, because I've seen the photos that you've posted of the Sideshow collectibles in particular.
Yeah.
Can you just give us a sense of the scope of your collection?
When we were looking for houses, when the wife and I were looking for houses, I was like, I don't really like this one. And she's like, because there's no area for all your shit. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much why. So we had to go and find a place with the area big enough for the basement, which I hate the term man cave, but she's like, it's a nerd cave. I'm like, whatever. So there's a bunch of D-tops downstairs. I raided IKEA because that's where every good collector goes, I guess, for all their crap. And I got into Sideshow. I was like, I'm only going to get like a couple statues. And a couple statues turned into a lot of statues really fast. So the Hot Toys collection's pretty big. The Sideshow collection's pretty big. Every time there's a new premium format statue, I usually jump on it. But it put me in the hole, man. Like now I need like 3 other jobs. And the wife's like, how much money you spend? And I'm like, nah, it's not that bad. And hopefully she doesn't listen to this because based on the way I just said that, she's going to know it's probably more than what I let on. But yeah.
I know. I was going to ask you if you could give us a sense of the price of these items, but if you'd rather not, that's okay.
So like $5, somewhere around $5 to $10.
And they're always on sale, right?
Yeah.
Always on sale. I love you, honey, if you're listening. No, the comics have to stay in the climate controlled place. So they're not even in my house. I spend like $220 a month so they can be in climate control because, everything gets yellow and then it gets all messed up. And it's not even for me. Like, I'll die knowing those are in storage. It's more for my son. If he wants to do something with it when he gets older, it's kind of up to him. But for me, like, I'll never sell. Like, I'm not a seller. I say it all the time. She's like, why don't you sell some of those? I'm like, yeah, I was thinking about it. It'll never happen. If he wants to do it, he can, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. No, like I said, I've seen the photos. Do you have an estimate of the number of pieces in the collection?
No. You figure 4 1/6 scale figures per D-top. I got like 18 D-tops downstairs, and then there's the premium format statues on top of all of them, and I keep buying like these little stands thinking that's going to be it, and then I forget something's coming in, then they send me an email. They're like, you have more crap coming. I was like, oh, man, I got to beat the mail home so the wife doesn't get there first, and then throw it up really fast and act like I've always had it because she never really goes downstairs.
Well, if you're cool with it, maybe we'll throw up some photos of the collection on the Facebook page. People can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's get into New York Comic Con and cosplay. First, Stephanie, I have to say to you, I'm so grateful that you were cool with spending our 1-year wedding anniversary at New York Comic Con on Sunday the 8th.
That makes you a pro.
It
Nicely
does.
done.
It does. I think I get the award for best wife this year, or at least for the week. No, but it was, in all seriousness, it was such a fun time and something to do together. So even though, yes, it wasn't a island getaway for our 1-year anniversary, we had a great time in New York City and then a great time at the show. And leading up to it, we had so much fun planning and getting everything together to prepare.
Yeah, that was not the first convention we had gone to together, but the first major one. We had gone to East Coast Comic Con and Undiscovered Realm Comic Con, both, mid-range shows. So this was the first, like, full-on Comic Con that we went to together.
Like 200,000 people this year or something. Like they were talking, they broke all kinds of records. Yeah, it's crazy.
I got to tell you, so I had been to New York Comic Con 3 years in a row, quite some time back. So I think 2008, 9, and 10. So it's been a few years since I went. And more recently, I went to San Diego Comic Con, not this past summer, but the one before. And honestly, I feel like New York was more crowded. And I felt like at San Diego, there were at least areas within the convention center where you could have a moment to yourself to breathe and have a little bit of space. And I felt like at the Javits Center, there was none of that to be found. It was quite the experience.
Even in the basement where there was nothing happening and nothing
Still
on
packed.
display,
People at all
it was
the corners.
packed. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was something. Now, just to preface all of this, so Steph and I went to New York Comic Con as Matt Murdock and Elektra. Of course, comic book characters, but specifically from the Netflix show. Now, we had a great time, and we'll talk about that, but I just want to say, what we did pales in comparison to what you did. So when we talk about our cosplay experience, for you and for listeners, just know there's a scale to this, and Justin went all in, and we kind of dipped our toes in the water. But I think there were some interesting parallels, so I'm looking forward to being able to compare notes. Now, just on the convention front, are you a regular convention goer?
So starting 5 years ago, a friend of mine, Garrett Fuller, who's like knee deep in, like neck deep in all of the stuff. He goes to all the conventions. He writes for MMORPG.com. He has an Overwatch website that's like beating CNN to all of the leads for like all the new leagues and stuff that they're doing. And he was like, "You're a teacher. You teach with comic books. Do you want to go and speak at Comic-Con?" And my fucking brain blew up. Because I've never been there before. I've been collecting comics since I was 5. I'm 37 now. And I've never had the opportunity to go. I never even thought about it. And I was like, "Can you do that?" And he was like, "Guy, I can get you passes like tomorrow," because apparently he knows the guys from Reed. And, he doesn't name drop, so I name drop for him. I was like, my friend knows all these people. And it's like, it's super exciting. And at first I thought he was full of crap. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll wait or whatever." And then, sure enough, he was like, I have your speaker's badge for you." I was like, "Whoa, this is actually going to happen." So I did panels for 3 years in a row.
Oh, wow.
And never dressed up. I just went to go speak on the panels. It was a lot of fun. Met a lot of people. I got a couple job offers, like one in Alaska.
Doing what?
Teaching.
Wow.
The guy's like, "I love your style. Do you want a job?" I said, "Where?" He's like, "Alaska." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "I appreciate it, but I'm not. That's a hell of a move."
Maybe like a guest lecturer type thing.
Yeah,
where
I
you
could
could
do
go
that.
for a trip.
I was like, "Throw me some bills, man. I'll come down." So that was my first con experience. And when you get there, it's kind of larger than, like, especially for the first one, you're like, "Oh my God," like it's so overwhelming. Because I've been to smaller conventions before, but everything kind of pales in comparison to the behemoth that is New York Comic Con. It's just like, it's huge, man. And everyone's serious there. Like that's like the big leagues. Like when you go there, whether you're costume or whatever, you're kind of like all set up.
Yeah, I guess I've always been mixed on it, because on the one hand, I don't love the crowds, and it can be tough to navigate that convention floor. But at the same time, and Steph and I were talking about this, it's cool to see everybody assembled like that, and you really get a sense of the scope of the fandom of this industry. Like it is cool to see.
Yeah, like they're your people, right? Like that's the best part of it. The best part of it is I might meet somebody like you, and it's really awesome. We can talk shop for like hours. Like I did that with Mike Schelling, who's the director of publicity for DC. He was interviewing Jim Lee, and then he came out and he was like, because we're friends on Facebook through Garrett. So again, name dropping for Garrett. And we just sat there and talked. But now you're doing it with 200,000 other people. Like, you don't really get an opportunity to do that on the day in, day out. Like, my wife doesn't give a shit about comics. I was like, "Babe, did you see in the new?" And she's like, "I don't care." Like, she's like, it's like, none of that stuff bothers me. And I don't care about any of it. But she's super supportive. But it's like, they're your people. And that's why when we were coming up the stairs, I was like, convention depression is a real thing. Like, when you're done, you're like, damn it. Like, when's the next one? Like, I already started planning out when I can go again, because it's such a kind of crazy experience.
Yeah, and I would imagine, especially for you, having put as much into the cosplay as you did, It's like when you're done, it's just that sense of like, it's, I guess, relief, but also like, you want it again.
Yeah, before I went, I was like, it's going to be one and done. I'm going to get a mannequin and put the costume up on the mannequin, and I'm done with it. And after being there for 5 minutes, I'm like, I'm going to do this all the time. Once you dress up for Comic-Con, you don't want to go normal ever again. Like, you just want to go dressed up all the time.
So, yeah, I really want to get into this. So here's the thing with cosplay. It's a world, and it really is a world unto itself within this hobby and industry. And it's one that is, or I guess was, kind of foreign to me. And it's funny because people always assume, especially like my colleagues at work or friends who aren't into comics, they always assume that I like dressing up because I like comic books. When Halloween rolls around or a convention, it's like, oh, are you dressing up? And it's like, no. Like, I appreciate the people who do, and I love the comics and I love the characters, but I'm not looking to dress up myself. But it is its own world, and I've always been really curious about it, and so I'm glad that we can get into it. And so, yeah, I mean, we did our own cosplay. Really, I would really say that Steph spearheaded that. Fair to say?
I think so. I
You
mean,
think so?
We brainstormed together. We went through a few different possibilities of logistics and looks and things like that, and what characters we actually wanted to be. But then I think once we decided, then I spearheaded the acquisition, certainly, of the props and material.
Yeah.
I thought you guys looked great. I was
Thanks.
like, oh my
Thank you.
God. I was like, this is going to be awesome. I was like, yeah, man, you guys nailed it. Like, I thought that was really well done. And it's a great costume that you can tell who it is. Like, because the Netflix shows are huge right now. They're so dark and gritty and all the rest of the stuff that kind of the movie industry kind of strays away from. They're kind of hitting both.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was like, wow, you guys nailed it, man. You guys did a great job.
No, it's so funny because, so my whole thing was, I hate to say the path of least resistance, but I was like, how can we cosplay without me wearing
Going all
spandex?
out? Yeah.
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 And so my go-to always is, I'm a huge Smallville fan, and I actually have a replica of the red jacket that Clark wore on the show. So I was like, okay, we can do that. But Steph wanted to be able to be a costumed character herself, and the options coming from Smallville were a
What was
little
my other
limited.
requirement?
Oh, that you have powers?
Yes, I have some sort of powers. I was like, I'm not being Lois Lane again. I'm not.
I don't know, but I mean, what are Electra's powers?
Well,
that she
she's
came back
just-
from the dead.
Well, yes, and just her skills, her powers lie in her skills.
Yeah. So we eventually, I think there was one other serious contender, and that was Danny Rand and Colleen Wing from the Iron Fist series.
All right. That would have been okay, too.
We talked about that. We actually liked Iron Fist. I know it was very
So did
poorly
I.
received.
You know what? Besides the fight scenes did they seem slow to you?
Yeah, they did.
Because in Defenders, he's kicking all kinds of ass. And the other one, it looks like they're telegraphing a lot. Like, it seemed like it was a lot of, I know it's coming. But otherwise, I didn't think the show was that bad. Everyone's like, he's whiny. I'm like, he's a rich kid who got stuck in the mountains. Like, what'd you expect him to come back sounded like? He thinks he is this one thing. That's all he knows and shit. And people are like, I'm crapping all over it. I'm like, you got to settle down.
We liked the characters in general. Yes, Danny was at points annoying, but
little whiny.
has a good heart. I think overall was on a mission. He's a tortured soul, lost his parents at a young age. So we had some kind of connection with the characters, and yes, the fact that the racial profiles matched up to us as individuals
Nice.
helped. But yeah, I don't know what I think. I think maybe the hatred towards Iron Fist and the reviews after kind of steered us away from it, from pursuing it.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because somebody, and I'm not hating on anybody, go dressed up as you ever we want, but somebody cosplayed the new 52 Lobo. I didn't get a chance to see him, but talk about surrounded by hatred. That's the costume you decide. Even DC put him in a bottle, and they're like, leave that one on the shelf, and that's who you decide to come as. But
wow.
So the hate is real.
So I'm not familiar with Lobo, the character. I hate to say,
That's all right.
but is that like, I'm comparing it as like, is that like coming dressed up as Jar Jar Binks? Like,
Yeah. Oh wow, that's for not being familiar with it. That's pretty goddamn spot on.
So
Yeah.
the character generally, DC character, alien bounty hunter, traditionally a Superman villain, though he's had his dealings with the DC universe as a whole. I actually need a little bit of explanation on the new 52 version, because I sat out a lot of that.
I didn't pick up for whatever reason, and I threw it in the fire in celebration. They sent me the new 52 issue #1 of Lobo, and I immediately got on with like Mike, and I was like, how fucking dare you? And he knew it was a joke or whatever, so it was fine. But when Ken Rocafort, who's one of my favorite artists, period, that guy to me can do no wrong, he set up a couple different versions of what Lobo should look like. And they said, no, we want to make him sleeker, right? Because they're trying to reach out to who they thought that was going to make a difference. And they created this real Twilight-looking, fucking sparkly, like, I was like, what is that? Like, he's drinking like a martini with like his pinky out. Like, they took the character and like they took the mock tongue-in-cheek machismo, you know, after the Wolverine. They're like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna kind of set this up this way, and created like this twinkish, sexy. And I was like, what the fuck? And people were like, who is that? I'm like, that's Lobo. And it ran for, I don't know, maybe 20 issues. I don't know. My memory doesn't work like that. And the last time you saw him was in a Green Lantern comic where they're breaking all these things that this person collected, and the new Lobo was in one of the glasses, and one of the characters was like, leave that one on the shelf. And I was like, nicely done.
Nice.
Yeah, no, he was not well received at all.
Yeah, interesting. So anyway, so that was how we ultimately landed on Matt and Elektra. I want to talk about, Justin, how you arrived at Lobo. Well, I guess even before we get to that. So like I said, I'm not a huge costume guy. Are you someone who enjoys dressing up for Halloween and stuff like that?
I've never thought about cosplay. Now I dress up at Halloween for my kid, because I'm not going to have him run. Like, I'm one of those dads that wants to be involved. So I'm just like, I want to go, like, if he's going to be a dragon, I'll be something. I'll be a dragon slayer. Like, you know, you want to be something with your kid. You pull him around in a little cart or whatever. Never dressed up. Never a really big Halloween guy. I LARP, which immediately puts me in a category of super nerd.
Live action role play.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that was tough. I didn't tell anybody about that for like 12 years because I didn't hang around with the type of people that would be accepting of something like that. So, like, you know, I was a hardcore kid back in the day. So instead of going to shows on the weekend, I'm like, I got to go camping with my dad. I don't really want to go. Meanwhile, I'm running around the fucking woods like an evil priest or whatever.
I mean, I hate to say it, but really my frame of reference for LARPing
is role models, right?
Models.
Yeah. It's just as bad. It's like you go there and you think you're somebody, and it's fun for the weekend. Like, and I met a lot of my current, actually the woman who made half of my costume and spent 3 hours doing my makeup was somebody that I met at a LARP. It's Garrett's wife, Padma, and she was like, I'll do the makeup for you. And Jenny was like, yeah, good, because I'm not doing it. Like, my wife was like, whatever, man, if someone else wants to do that for you, that's awesome. She offered to help, but like, you guys have the connection. You want to go kind of LARP, you want to go dress up together? My wife was like, she was toying with the idea of getting dressed up. She was going to do the bombshell Power Girl.
Okay.
With the updo, like the real 1950s look. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I said, great. And a week later, she completely forgot about it. And she was like, yeah, I don't want to do that shit anymore. And because that's not her thing. Like, it's my thing. It's not her thing.
Right.
So, yeah, but no, I'm not a dress up dude. Like, I don't do stuff like that. And I was like, this is it. This is one and done. I'm going to shoot for the stars. And however it looks is how it's going to look. But I was 267 pounds a year and a month ago. And before anybody, look, I know you got listeners. That's awesome. And I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but I was not going to be Fat Lobo. Like, I'm not hating on people who want to go play whoever you want. Doesn't matter what you look like. If you want to do it, go do it. Love you for it. That's awesome. I was not going to do it. So I was like, I got to get in shape.
So was that what motivated the cosplay?
Yep.
Interesting.
I showed up at a gym. They're like, what's your goal? I'm like, to play Lobo. And they're like, I don't fucking know what that means. And I was like, here's the character. Here's what they look like. Here's what I'm going to do. I got in shape for New York Comic Con, as lame as that sounds. Yeah.
No, it's cool. And I followed your progress because I know you posted all your workout photos and videos. And I was like,
I'm that guy.
Yeah, but I'm like, this is really inspiring. It's like, I mean, I work out on a regular basis, but
I can tell you don't look like a nerd. You got arms, guy. I'm sitting across from you. You're going to the gym. Like, there's not, for anyone who's listening, he's not like the nerd with like the button up shirt. Like, he's not that guy. He goes to the gym. I see veins.
But it's hard to find the motivation sometimes, or a lot of times, honestly.
Right.
And I was thinking about this after seeing what you did and going there, and I was like, that might be for a year, like to just have that end goal and have that motivation and know, like, because there, plenty of times where I don't go, but I feel like that would make me go.
It stopped me from eating food at 9:00 at night because I got a really good nutrition coach. I have 2 nutrition coaches. My wife was like, join this thing called Stronger You. And my coach, Anthony Bainbridge, is just a giant Canadian dude. Like, he's huge. And I was like, if I'm going to do this, and I sent him my goal, and I was like, I want to look like this guy. And he was like, let's hook it up. So we went on a build, and then we went on a cut, and he was like, I'm going to do it for you. So there was a bunch of people who had their hands in this. It wasn't just me, unfortunately, because I don't know shit about nutrition. Like, I eat food, but what stopped me at 9:00 at night from eating was like, I got to look like Lobo. And from the other room, my wife's like, Lobo. And I was like, fuck, I'm not going to eat these donuts.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. So did you consider other characters, or once you decided you wanted to do this, it was always going to be Lobo?
It was all Lobo all day.
How come?
Just was always a fun book to read. And I was always a big Simon Bisley fan. And a Keith Geffen fan, and it was just like, these are the dude. Like, all his books, they didn't follow a continuity like, we're trying to save the world. It was always like, I'm trying to kill my grammar school teacher. Like, it was just fun. It was just fun books. And I was like, that's who I'm gonna be. And even now, after the experience, I'm like, I'm not gonna do another character. Like, I'm not like my friend's like, why don't you be a different person for like a weekend when you go to a Comic-Con? I'm like, no, I'll be different Lobos. But I don't know. I'm not a cosplay. Like, the cosplay community was really dope. Like, they're really nice. I imagine there's crappy cliques, because there's crappy cliques in everything.
Right.
But they were all really nice, took a lot of pictures and stuff like that. But I'm not like a cosplayer. Like, it's I mean, I guess I am one now, but I'm not like, next week I'm going to be this, and at this con I'm going to be this. Like, it's going to be Lobo. Like, I'm going to tire people out because I'm going to show up with the same costume kind of all the time because of the reception that I got, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, I want to get into that. So, all right, so a year and a month ago, you make the decision that you're going to cosplay. I
was a big fat
Lobo.
dude. Yep, and
that was your motivation. So you're going to do that, and so, I mean, I guess if you could take me through the process a little bit, like what were those initial steps? So meeting with the trainer and nutritionist.
So I joined a CrossFit gym, and I shit on CrossFit for like a while because I was like, it's a cult. But I was like, I want to lose the lbs, and and you need a certain look. At least I thought you need a certain look. Like, I'm not one of those people. It's like, I'm going to play out of what my body shape looks like. And I was like, so I'm going to join 2 gyms. So I went to a regular gym during the day for bodylifting stuff, for body building stuff. And then at night, I was going to go to the CrossFit gym, burn those lbs, get kind of a workout in. And it was every day, twice or 3 times a day, because I was like, I got to lose like 100 pounds by next year. And it was brutal. It's like a gallon of water every day. It's scanning all of your food. Like, I got this MyFitnessPal app, and you have to scan in and weigh all your food. And my nutritionist was like, this is what you got to do. If you want to hit that goal, this is what you got to do. Because the costume I didn't take care of, because I'm not creative. I can't make, they're bending costume stuff, and it's made out of whatever it's made out of. But I was like, I'm not that creative. I wish I was, but I'm not. So I was like, I'm going to commission out the costume. All I have to do is take care of the look.
Major
the
body.
Look was, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I was going to take care of. The costume got commissioned out to 3 different people. The one girl's name is Tegan. She goes under Saya Cot Cosplay. I said, I need knee pads, a hook, and a space cannon. Can you do these things? She's like, yep. She gave me the price. And I was like, whew, because the shit ain't cheap. Like, if you want it to look good, it's not going to, like, my wife's a tattooer. If you want a cheap tattoo, it's going to look like shit. If you want it good, it's going to cost some money. So when she told me what the price was, I was like, ooh, all right, let's do it. Because I figured this was going to kind of be my one and done. And then Padma Fuller stitched the back of the jacket. I had to order out the patch from China, which was another like $200, man. It was brutal. I was like, wow, for a patch? What are you kidding? So they sent it out, came in perfect. And then Padma Fuller's a seamstress. She used to sew stuff for the SCA, so she makes like she makes the costumes for Assassin's Creed, for like EA or whatever. Like she does all that stuff. So I was like, I feel like I'm kind of blowing out your talents, because all I'm asking you to do is do like a little something on the back of my jacket. She was like, whatever, because I'm friends with her. So she said, that's fine. She did all my makeup. And then Ralph from Cake Boss, the show Cake Boss, he makes like leather holsters and like fake guns. And I've known Ralph because Ralph's a LARPer, or at least was a LARPer before he became Ralph Cake Boss guy, which he's such a genuine dude. He's like our friend Gavin. They're so genuine, you think they're full of shit until they prove that they're not full of shit, and they're really nice dudes. And he's like, I'll make you a side piece with like a leg holster. So all of the costume elements went out to different people, and they all started coming in at the same time. And I was like, holy shit, like this is actually going to happen. Like this is a big deal. And then I started to get nervous. I don't know if you guys got nervous before you went and you got dressed up, but I was like, oh my God, like what are people going to think? Like that's always what I'm concerned about. Yeah, and it was just putting it all together. And then we did the makeup test, and I was like, oh, man, this looks really good. It was a 3-hour process. I mean, I'm heavily tattooed. My armpits are tattooed. The back of my head is tattooed. So it was putting together, it was getting Dermablend or Dermacoil, I think it's called, which is kind of like a gel. And it goes on, it covers all the tattoos first. Then you have to wait for that to dry. Then you have to put on the white. And then it's like with a roller, with a paint roller, she had to put it on. Yeah, she essentially painted me. And that was 3.5 hours, 3 layers a piece. I imagine some people could do it faster, but I was new to it, so I was like, whatever, roll me. Like, let's see what happens. But it was a process, man.
Yeah, that's involved. I mean, well, when you hear about actors, in the makeup chair, for a movie or whatever, I mean, that's what it's like.
And then you did this whole process each day you went to Comic-Con?
Yeah, and I only went 2 days. And so shout out to my friend Sean, who got married. He got married on the Saturday of Comic-Con. And let me tell you something.
That was us last year.
If I didn't love him the way like a dude loves another dude, I would not have went to his wedding. I would have been like, sorry, guy, I'm out. I can't do it. Because I really wanted to go Saturday and Sunday. But my friend Sean is a really good friend of mine. We've been through a lot of stuff, so I was like the only person I would not go to Comic-Con on a Saturday. The big day would be Sean, so I didn't end up going on Saturday.
That was literally us a year ago, and I felt especially bad because a lot of the people who we invited to the wedding are people I know through the comic shop, so they are Comic-Con goers.
Yeah.
So shout out to the guys who went to Comic-Con that Saturday morning and made it on time to our wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
In Jersey.
That's tough, man. It's a tough sell.
It's
a tough sell, especially during like the big, like that's the big one, right? Like you want to go and like everyone wants to go to the Super Bowl of conventions, which is what I understand that New York has become. Like when people talk about San Diego, they're like, that's like Hollywood Con.
Yeah.
Like they just want stars to go there. But New York Comic Con is just like, that's the one, that's the epicenter. So everyone kind of want to go to that and make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Saturday I didn't go.
So you enlisted your team for the costume, the accessories, the makeup. If you don't mind me asking, I mean, how much did this end up running you? Ballpark.
Oh, man, between like fake cigars from Amazon and dolphin stickers. I gave out dolphin stickers because Lobo's a big fan of dolphins, and I got little buttons made that said "Bite Me Fanboy" on them. We're talking somewhere in the range of $2,500.
Wow. And
the Lobo costume is jeans, guy. Like I'm in a Canadian tuxedo. Like it's not that big of a deal. But the Sayakot Cosplay, the girl Tegan, gave me a really good deal, and I refer people to her all the time. She stayed with me every step of the way. And I think if you're going to go to someone to make your stuff, it's got to be someone that you can trust with your stuff. Like you want to be able to bother them all the time. And she was totally open to the process. She was like, whatever, bother me whenever you want. But it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. Like after her, I was like, that's it. And then I'm like, oh, I got to buy a vest. Oh, I got to buy a holster. I got to buy fake cigars. I got to buy all the makeup. It started to stack up really fast.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's really its own industry. It's not like you say, oh, I want to be Lobo, and you just go to the corner store and you buy a Lobo costume. I mean, there's so much that's involved in making these costumes. It's really incredible. And we went to East Coast Comic Con probably close to 2 years ago at this point, and I had a table there for the podcast, and I was kind of near the cosplay section, and I was walking by these cosplayers, and I looked up a few of them on Instagram, and I'm seeing tens of thousands of followers, and I hadn't realized the extent of this world. It's really incredible.
I didn't know how big it was. I knew that there was a couple big names in cosplay, but I was like, I don't know, like stuff like that just doesn't resonate with me. Like it didn't resonate with me before. And then I was like, wow, this is an industry. Like people get paid to go and dress up as these characters. Like again, I was totally ignorant to that process. So when I started seeing like, I got paid to go to Comic-Con this year, I'm like, can I get paid to go to Comic-Con? Because I would love to quit my job and just go dressed up as Lobo everywhere. That'd be kind of awesome.
You could do birthday parties and get paid for it.
Speaking of which, kids, like 9, 10, 11-year-olds are like, that's Lobo. I'm like, listen, how did you know? Because the Lobo that I look like, well, Injustice, the video game, I imagine, helps out a lot.
The cartoons, too. The Superman and Justice League cartoons. I mean, they're a little old at this point for a little kid, but...
I didn't even think about that. Like, I only thought about the comic and the fact that there's a video game. But when kids, it's a real Mickey Mouse moment. And it's really surreal. Because as I was nervous as shit. Like, I'm walking through I'm like, is my costume good enough? Because that was my big concern. Because I didn't want, like, look, there's 40,000 Deadpools that show up to New York Comic Con. And they're all in, like, the Party City outfit. And if that's what you can afford, awesome. Good for you. Like, I'm not shitting on it. But I wasn't going to do that. Like, I wanted to kind of step it up a notch. Because there's another guy who did a Lobo that was really good. And there's a bunch of Lobos that were like, it's all right. But I wanted to do a little bit more. And I didn't want to be that guy. So it was an insane moment when you walk through the crowd and people are like, Lobo. And I'm like, oh, that's me. I got to take pictures. The first person that took a picture of me was a priest. Like collar, everything at the Weehawken and ferries. Like, can I get a picture? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. But it was surreal. It was like, you feel like Mickey Mouse. People want pictures with you. They don't care about who you are. They care about the character who you're portraying. I don't know if you guys had that going on Sunday.
Yeah, like it was so crazy because when we got there, I said to Steph, I'm like, people might ask to take our photo. Mate, like, but I was like, I wasn't banking on it.
Like, because I was picturing a whole lot of people dressed like you. I mean, that caliber of costuming. So I was like, oh, no one's going to want to take our picture. Like
they do.
Just wearing black jeans and a suit, but, within minutes of walking the hall.
So, yeah, what went into the Elektra cosplay?
So, black jeans. I could have worn pants that were more snazzy, let's say, but I wanted to keep it more authentic. And in the Netflix show, she's wearing black jeans. And then it was actually a dance top that's a black vest type shirt and then a red turtleneck. And I tried to get my hair as close as possible and my makeup as close as possible to what she had done on the show. Because that's one of my hobbies is makeup and hair in general.
Yeah, she is quite the hair and makeup artist. She's done it for friends' weddings and stuff like that.
So that was a fun part. So, and then ordering the size. So that was the key. I think that some people looked at me and they're like, "Oh, okay, you have the size. You are cosplaying." Like I wanted
that's
to make sure that.
That's the first thing I peeped when I came in. I was like, "They're over there."
Yep.
I saw those before.
Exactly. And then so I wore a gray suit, white shirt, black tie. And I didn't shave, so I had some scruff going on. And then probably the most important pieces, those red glasses and the walking stick. And we were talking about this. They're such simple elements on their own. But when you put them all together, it's Matt Murdock. And it's funny because it's like, other than the fact that we're both white and have dark hair, it's like Charlie Cox and I
scruffy.
don't. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I really bear a resemblance to
People
him.
don't even care. They don't even care.
And so we were blown. Like, I really couldn't believe it. We got stopped. Not as much as you did, but we got stopped a decent amount. And even if people didn't ask for a photo, it was like, hey, Matt. And same thing. Like, Steph had to keep telling me, like, oh, they were calling to you. Because it's like, I don't answer to Matt, so didn't even register.
That's when people started yelling Lobo, I was like, this is super overwhelming. Like, there's people who are like, yo, like, someone took a picture with their kids And then the wife was like, get in there because you're going to fanboy out. And the guy and the father, he's like 40-something years old, came next to me. He's like, you're my favorite character. I'm like, I'm just a teacher from Newark. Like, I'm not anyone's favorite character. But the higher you do the caliber of the costume, people are just like, you're my hero. Like, it means something to them. And that's when I started realizing, I'm like, you don't really cosplay for you. Like, you do because it's you, but you do it so other people are like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I feel like you get to a point where it's not a guy in a costume. You are embodying
It's
the
the Mickey
character
Mouse
for
factor.
these people. Yeah, you're bringing this character to life in
Yep.
a way that's different than, again, just an off-the-rack costume.
Yeah. And the father leaned up. He's like, you're my favorite character. I'm like, that was a little creepy, but kind of awesome at the same time, because that's what you put in all the work for. You put in all the work so someone was like, this is perfect. You did a great job. Like Frank Cho, who is one of my top 3 artists of all time. I leaned over at his table, and he's like, you're the best Lobo I've ever seen. I'm like, let's talk about how I'm going to shit my pants, because Frank Cho just told me I was the best Lobo he's ever seen. And I took a picture with him. I bought one of his prints, but I was like, if I was just dressed as me, he wouldn't have gave a crap. Well, I'm just a consumer. I'm there to buy something. But, it's someone that he's drawn. It's someone that he's seen. It's surreal, man. It's surreal.
Yeah. It's a great icebreaker, too, because I was running a Kickstarter campaign at the time, and I had postcards with me, and people would say, hey, can I take a photo? And we did that. And then I was like, oh, by the way, I'm doing this. And I felt like I had earned enough goodwill with them where it wasn't...
You got some clout in there. Now you can, can throw them the card,
Exactly. So it was, a great icebreaker. It was... The only thing that was weird about it, I felt like... Because going in, I kind of felt like I had half-assed the cosplay. Again, it was a suit, the glasses, and a stick. It's like,
but that's what it is.
That's all it is.
That's what
it's
it is,
true.
yeah.
But I'm like, I feel like maybe I've been overthinking other things. It's like, this was so simple, and it got such a great response. It was a funny thing.
But you know what? I saw a guy there with the show quality outfit. But like, again, if that, oh my God, people are so sensitive nowadays. I don't want to upset anybody, but like Homeboy didn't have it like tucked in. Like it didn't. He bought the outfit, like the show quality outfit, but it didn't look like it because it was kind of just all disheveled. And he was upset. Like he was looking at me like, why are they taking pictures with him? I was like, I don't know. Like, so you can buy all the quality stuff, but if you don't look like you're put together, people aren't going to want to get pictures with you. Like it's a weird, like, again, I know nothing about the cosplay community. I wish I knew more. I know there's like stars of cosplay or whatever it is, but people gravitate to people who put in a lot of time and effort to the costume. And you're like, well, I was just put on a gray suit. Yeah, but the gray suit is iconic for that character. That's what they know.
Yeah, true.
So people are going to look at you and be like, he put time and effort into that. That's what they want. Like, it just seems like people want to take pictures with things that they know. And they know what that gray suit looks like, and the red glasses, which are like the look,
Yeah, it's true. What was your take on being stopped for photos? Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I was not recognized as often as you were, but that's okay. Sometimes it was because you were walking ahead of me, or that's okay. But it was fun to take pictures with people. People who were saying like, "Oh, it's a great costume," or "It's on point," or someone said to you, "You're killing it." I mean, very emphatically. A few
people asked if I would represent them.
Yes.
They needed legal help. Joke's on them. I'm actually a lawyer. I could.
Yeah, I was going to say, you handed out cards, man. Be like, well, actually, yes, I can. And pass it over.
We were standing in line waiting to see an artist, and another Matt Murdock, but dressed in the all-black outfit from the show, came. I saw him approaching and kind of smirking a little bit, and he bumps into Anthony intentionally and says, "Oh, excuse me, is this the line? I can't see." And Anthony's like, "Ugh." And then he turns around, he's like, oh, okay. And then we took pictures. And
yeah, for a moment, I'm like, is this going to be a thing here? Like, what?
Yeah, the other players were really fun. Like, I got stopped by someone in a Christian Bale Batman outfit, and he was like, "I got to get a picture with you, guy." And he's like, "That's pretty awesome." So I got a picture with him. It's I was concerned because my gripe is always like, is it like the kind of community that's really shitty? Like that's always what I got going on. Like if you're new, are they like you don't belong here, you can't sit with us, like that kind of thing?
Right.
But it's less about the community and more about the people that are taking the pictures. Like that's what I realized. Like the costume aside, when the 11 and 12-year-old Batman and Joker was like, Lobo, can we get a picture? I'm like, you get whatever you want, man. Like this is awesome. Just getting stopped. It's like you are a superhero for a day. Like that's why you go. You're a superhero for a day. And I don't know if the rest of the cosplay community feels like that, but for me, it was just like, yo, like I'm never going to go to another convention as me ever again.
Yeah, I'd be interested to talk to other cosplayers about that because I know for a lot of them, and you were hitting on this before, I mean, this is their livelihood.
It's their job. Yeah.
You know, so I
It's their
wonder,
job.
I mean, I would hope that they still at least get some kind of charge out of being the character, but, you know, they, I guess, have a different mission when they're there. It's a different objective.
I hope not, right? Because the idea is if they get paid to be there, I hope they hit it with the same amount of this is awesome for other people and not for me. Like, again, and that's just speaking for me. Like, I would love for them to be like, nope, it's all about other people. Because when people stop you, they're not stopping you because they give a crap about you. They give a crap about the character that you're being. And it's just, it's a great way to connect to everybody. Like, it's really weird. So if you're there for you, I think you're kind of missing the point. Like, it's cool for you because you're in all these pictures. And like I said, I scoured Instagram. I was like, I wonder if anyone liked my stuff. But yeah, when people want to be pictured with you, it's strange. Especially because, like I said, I'm just a teacher from Newark. So when people are like, can I get a picture? I'm like, yeah, you can. Like, it got really exciting.
Do you have any estimate of how many photos you took?
Dude, I took at least, so I bought 50 buttons from my friend Matt at Unmasked Collectibles in Millburn. He does shirts and he does collectibles and he does all stuff like that. And he was like, I can make you buttons. You want buttons? I said, yeah. It's like, how many do you want to make? I was like, 50. What an asshole. Like, that was like the lowest number I could possibly give him. He made me like 2-inch band buttons. And I was like, give me 50 because I have 1,000 dolphin stickers that I was going to hand out to. I was like, I probably won't go through 50. I went through 50 pins, 50 buttons in 20 minutes. And then before I knew it, I was like, we're done? They're like, you got no pins left, guy. I was like, oh my God. Like, so I can't even estimate how many people I took a picture with. But afterwards, the amount of times I found myself in other people's photos was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. Yeah, I found myself in a bunch of different photos. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, you've
crazy.
had quite the experience. I mean, I know you talked about meeting Frank Cho. You met Jim Lee.
I met Jim. Yeah, so I took a picture with Jim Lee, which that experience was awesome. So I'm talking to Mike Schelling, and we're just talking about Justice League Metal, which is like the new push that they got going on now right now. And we're just fanboying out, and Jim Lee comes out of the back. And I met Jim before because I have a Magneto done by Jim Lee tattooed on the back of my head. And he comes out, and he was like, and Mike was like, you want to take a picture with Lobo? He's like, yeah. And he takes a picture with me, and like 2 other dudes are standing around. It's like, can we get a picture? Jim's like, no, I can't. I got stuff to do. And like, he walks away. And that's not saying Jim's a bad dude. Like, Jim's a really sweet dude, but, you know, Jim's busy. Like, I think he jumped on a plane right after Comic-Con and went to like Germany right afterwards. But, yeah, it's weird because I'm like, I just took a picture with fucking Jim Lee. Like, this is a big deal. Like, Jim Lee, I've been following Jim Lee forever. So it's just like, if I wasn't dressed like Lobo, probably wouldn't have got that picture.
Yeah. Was there anyone else you met that was especially notable?
Well, Ed McGuinness was like, that's the best Lobo I've ever seen. And I was like, I'm sorry, can we back up for a second? Because you're Ed McGuinness, and you just told me I was the best Lobo you ever saw. Like,
Yeah, another big comic book artist. He did a run on Superman in the early to mid 2000s. That one of my favorites.
yeah. So when he's like, I was like, I'm sorry. Let's rewind this real quick. Like, it was surreal. Because again, if you're just a face in the crowd getting stuff signed, it's like, yeah, whatever. Like, you're a fan, and it's really cool that you're a fan. But when they recognize you as one of the best they've ever seen of whatever, you're just like, holy shit. Like Ed McGuinness just told me I was the best Lobo he's ever seen. Like that's a pretty big deal.
I feel like it shifts the dynamic a bit because, like you said, there's a big difference between going up as a fan and being, oh, I really like your work, and having them come to you and say something like that.
Well, that's what
it's
happened.
Such a shift, yeah.
I passed by Ed McGuinness's table. He's like, "It's the best Lobo I've ever seen." I was like, "I'm not even in line, guy. Like this is pretty awesome." And I said thank you, and he took a picture with one of his handlers, and I was like, I didn't even take a picture. I was like, what am I thinking? Like I should have took a picture. But I got stopped a lot up and down Artist Alley.
Were there any kids in particular who were scared or intimidated by the Lobo costume? Because Lobo's an intimidating character.
There was nobody. There was a girl dressed up as a Negan Joker mashup, which she was awesome. She just wanted to be involved. Yeah. She was really. If I had my phone open, I would give a shout out to the dad because the dad was super awesome. But she came right over and posed. I was like, yo, that's parent of the year right there. Like she came right over to. No one was afraid. They all either knew who the character was or couldn't wait to take a picture. Which, like I said, was like a moment where you're like, that's awesome. Like it really does give you a sense of like, I did this right.
Yeah.
I did this right.
No, I mean it's great to hear you talk about it, and I hear the excitement. And again, like we got our little taste of it. And so I can only imagine what it was like for you, for those 2 days to get those reactions.
Yeah.
It's funny, ahead of time, we had not planned how we were going to pose and smile or not smile. And that was a quick on-the-spot decision where we were like, and we played it serious in almost every photo except one with kids, I think, where we smiled.
Yeah, I was
but
like,
for everything,
smile.
we played it really straight. We were really trying to be in character.
I didn't understand it. That was a point of contention until a friend was like, do you have your poses down? I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? What do you mean do I have my poses down? Did you guys plan poses before you went?
No.
I did.
Apparently that's a big deal. She's like, yeah, I did.
I only speak for myself.
But
I
it
did
makes
not.
sense because in I was wearing her fighting outfit and Matt Murdock was wearing his suit. So he wasn't necessarily Daredevil and ready to fight in that moment. So it made sense.
I just stood there and didn't smile. That was my pose. But it was funny. Like we had only even considered the possibility that someone might want to take our photo. Like we didn't even get to the point of.
And it jumps up on you real fast.
Yeah. In that first photo, I think I even said to you, are we smiling or not smiling? Like all of a sudden I realized it's like, and again, going back to inhabiting the character, so what did you end up doing?
My friend Scott Benson was like, did you plan poses? I was like, am I supposed to plan poses? Like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't. And I was like, do I? And he was like, yeah, I would. And he went as Captain America the one day with a phenomenal outfit. They 3D printed the helmet, and he looked great. And then the second day, he went as the yellow suit Wolverine. He looked great. He did a great job. And he was like, you got to plan poses. I was like, maybe I should have like 3 or 4 poses. So I did. I used the same three or four poses based on the audience. So the middle finger, which is huge in the Lobo universe, or at least the way he is, only went to people who were like 21 and over. But with little kids, it was just with the hook or whatever. Yeah, but I realized the importance of poses real fast. Yeah. Real fast, definitely.
I know, it's funny. It sneaks up on you because you put so much into everything else, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, I got to do this too.
Yeah. So when people started taking pictures of me, the second person who took a picture, the first one was a priest. The second one who took a picture of me was like, Lobo must have took his medication today because he's not crazy. I was like, oh, you need to crazy it up. Like I listened to that dude. I was like, all right, let's step it up a notch. But people want to take pictures of the character. Like it's like I can't say it enough. They don't give a shit about you. Like they don't care about the person behind the glasses, the person behind the makeup. They want their embodiment of what they think the character is going to be like. So I was like, I gotta step it up a notch. Like I felt obligated to be more of the character than I thought I was going to be, because I thought people just want to take a picture with the makeup. They don't. They want the character.
Did you do a voice?
Yeah, I gruffed it up a little bit. And then in one of the interviews, I said the main man needed a drink because the dude is so. A colleague of mine from school, which was kind of super embarrassing, she's like, did you drink the whole time? Because every time I was pictured, I had a drink in my hand. Yeah. I was like, no, I bought like one drink and then nursed it the entire time because Lobo would be there with a drink. So you kind of pilot and pivot as you go. You're like, no, I need a drink. Like I need a drink in my hand at all times because that's what Lobo would do. He would have a drink. So you start to change stuff as you go. It's super bizarre.
Speaking of reactions, specifically from people at work, so how many of them knew that you were doing this? I guess how many knew ahead of time, and then how many have seen the photos and everything after?
So my entire administration team knew because my one administration, Shakira, she was a follower for one of my old schools, and she knew I was going, and she was like, "That's fine, just go, have a good time." Before I left on Wednesday, she was like, "Have a great time." She's such a warm person, but nobody saw any pictures. I just can't do it because they're all shirtless. Because like I said, I put in all this work. I might as well do it. And it was people want to see, but you're like, I don't know if I can give that much to you. Like, that's gonna have to stay on my end of things, not necessarily your end of things.
Are people understanding of that?
Yeah. Oh, they know, because I go I make a big deal out of it. I make a bigger deal out of it than they do, because they're like, "Guy, we know you go every year. It's fine. You take 2 days off a year, and it's to go to Comic-Con." And I was like, it's got to look a certain way, so I'm going to look a certain way. And they like the adults I showed pictures to, the kids knew I was going. Like, "Can we see pictures?" I was like, "No." I was like, "You cannot see any pictures. No way."
Yeah, I mean, look, if they really wanted to, I don't think they'd have to work too hard. I mean, you were all over the place. Did you find yourself on comic book news sites and stuff like that?
I can't believe I did it. I was that guy.
You Googled yourself?
Yeah, I did.
Listen,
I did. I Googled myself.
You're not alone.
And I found this other guy. I forgot his Instagram name. He does a great Lobo. I found him more than anything else. But then as the days started to go, I started to find me more. And me with like artists that I don't know, because when I read comics, I know names. I don't Google faces. Like, I don't have the memory for stuff like that. Like, I knew Ken Rockefort's name. I never knew what he looked like. So apparently I took a picture of the person who's got like 91,000 followers. And I'm like, "You're an artist. I know your name. Never knew your face." So afterwards I was like, holy shit, I took a picture with this person. And you'd never know, because they want to take a picture with you. You don't want to take a picture with them, which was really weird.
Yeah.
Which is really weird.
So speaking of reaction, so your wife was with you.
She was.
Both days?
She was with me on Friday. Thursday. She was with me on Thursday.
So I said to Steph ahead of time, I'm like, Justin's wife probably heard the words Lobo, cosplay, and con about as much as Steph has heard the words Kickstarter, documentary, and podcast. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. She got the line, "Babe, when I do my Lobo cosplay ... probably 1,000 times, to the point where she's like, "Babe, I'm sick of hearing about cosplay, and I'm sick of hearing about Lobo." My wife is amazingly supportive, but she's not in that industry. She doesn't give a shit what the costume looks like. She helped with the makeup, but ultimately, my wife is a lifter, she's a tattooer, and she's a roller derby chick. Like, those are the things that she's care about. But the love is there. So she was like, "I know you want to do a really good job doing this costume, so I'm going to go with you on Thursday." And then she had to work Thursday and Friday. And she was a super good sport. She hated stopping every 5 feet. You can kind of see it in her face. But she held it together like the wife, and she was like, "Whatever, I'm going to stop for him, because I know he's worked really hard for a year and a month for this." So shout out to my wife, man, because like, you guys went as a couple, which I imagine is dope. Like, she wanted to do the pinup Power Girl, which would have been a great costume, but she just fell out of it. Like, it's not her thing, and I don't want to force my thing on her. Like, that's the last thing you want to do, because then it's awkward and stuff like that.
She has to be excited about it.
Right, and
really
she just wasn't, like, she was excited about being around all those people, but she wasn't excited about the cosplay as much. Like,
listen, she was excited to go and be around all those people. That's all. No, because I was going to say, yeah, I mean, it takes a lot. You have to muster a lot of energy just to survive the convention, let alone dress up. Yeah. I mean, it's not a small undertaking.
And the first time she went, we were both undressed, because I was like, I'm not going dressed. Like, I can't do that. She was 5 months pregnant with my son, and she was in the Christian Louboutins that I bought her, which were that's a completely different story. Jesus Christ. Like, they looked at me when I walked in like, "You don't deserve to be here." I'm like, "Watch me drop some money." And then I dropped all that money. I was like, "Oh my God, that's a lot of money." She was in Christian Louboutins, like these huge spiked heels, and she was like 5 months pregnant, and she held it down, man, because she knew I wanted to go. So she is super supportive of all my crap. She doesn't have to be, but like it's pretty amazing to have someone that's like, I'm not into your stuff, but I will go to your stuff. Like, that's a good find. Like, it's not like someone who's like, oh yeah, I'm into it, so I'm going to go with you. This is someone's like, I don't give a shit about what you play. And she showed up anyway, which is a big deal.
No, that's awesome. Did she catch the bug at all? Like, seeing what you experienced? Was she like, maybe I would do it next year, or is she still not
even
into
mentioned it?
Yeah.
Hasn't even mentioned it. To her, it's like, whatever, that's your thing. Yeah, which is surprising, because you figure when you get someone around that much attention, you'd want to do it. She's just not that person. She's like, whatever, man. She's like, you got dressed up. I didn't get dressed up. It's fine. But now I just want to go dressed up to everything. Like, did you guys have that going on? Like, do you want to dress up more? Like, do you want to dress up to more Comic-Cons now?
Part of it, like my initial definitely reaction is like, well, I want to use the costume again, because there were things, I did make several purchases. I'm like, just to wear it once, like even if it's for Halloween or around Halloween time, using it, or another convention. So there's definitely that factor of like, I want to use this again and not have it just be a one and done thing. But then there is also another part of me that's like, yeah, I want to do something bigger next year or next time, sooner than next year. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do I say this? I don't have a small ego. So that boost that I got of people's reactions, like, that definitely resonated with me. And I feel like I caught the bug at least a little bit, where I'm like, I kind of want to chase this.
So now, are you going to go big? Like, are you going to stay with the suit, or are you going to step it up a notch? Because that's what I want to know. Because you guys are really nice with asking me questions, but now I get to fire back. Like, now I want to know how that experience grabbed you. Like, what are you going to plan for next time? Like, let's talk real for a second. Like,
Yeah.
let's go.
I mean, I feel like I would do something more involved. I mean, this, like I said, this was relatively easy. Suit, glasses, and
Right.
stick, and I was good to go. So I would be open to doing something more involved. I guess my thing is, I still don't want, because Superman's my favorite character, and
Right.
we saw plenty of Superman
Sure.
cosplayers running around, and it's like,
Spider-Man's.
yeah,
No
it's like-
disrespect.
yeah, it's
They
like,
were-
I don't need to wear like the full spandex costume. Like, I liked, again, my initial idea of Clark from Smallville, the Matt Murdock, the civilian version of the character. I like the idea of taking a little bit of a different angle than the traditional view that people think of when they think of Superman or Daredevil.
Right.
So what form that would take, I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I don't know. I haven't given it a ton of thought, but I would be open to doing more.
And we have already started to discuss it. Like, what else can we do?
Right? It attaches to you, because I saw a Red Sun Superman who hoisted Spider-Man over his head, and I was like, Red Sun Superman would be dope. But again, I don't cosplay, or I say that like I'm a fucking cosplayer, like an idiot. I don't want to cosplay things I'm not in the look for. Like, you can pull off a Superman, you're super stunning. Like, you can pull that off. Like, you throw a little curl in your hair, you're ready to go. I could not. Like, I'm going bald. You know what I'm saying? So I had to rock a wig. So I would never, like, I could do a Bizarro, maybe with like a longer
yeah.
beard.
Oh, that would be actually really cool.
Yeah, but you can do a Superman all day. Definitely.
Well, a few years ago, we did dress up as Lois and Clark for Halloween.
Yes, we did do that. And that was fun.
And
Yeah,
that little
that
bit
was
of gruff, you're working it, guy. Like, you could do that.
We got a little bit of the S curl in there.
But you know what? I feel like I'm into it enough at this point. I would want to do, because it'd be to do a Clark would be very easy.
Right.
I mean, that,
I saw a bunch of those with the shirt, with the
Yeah.
Superman shirt underneath, yeah.
But it's like, that's almost too easy at this point.
Yeah, we need a little bit of a challenge, but
I don't
It's the
need
step up.
Yeah, but I
Yes.
don't need to wear the full Superman costume.
You can go beard, longer hair, black outfit. You grow that beard out a little bit, you got rocking. You could do like a rebirth Superman kind of thing in the black. That would be kind of awesome.
Oh, it's something to consider. But then who would you be? I mean,
I know,
always Lois, but I know
Don't
you
do
wanna,
Lois again.
no, Lois. Because I mean, I have to say I'm a fan of the Supergirl TV show and in general, but it's like we were like, oh, we could be Superman and Supergirl. It's like, well, they're cousins, so it's a little weird.
Yeah, there's that element of it, but no, I don't know. I feel like we will do something. I
Yes.
don't know exactly what form it will take yet, but this was truly a surprise. Like, I mean, I really did it because Steph wanted to, and we were going on our anniversary.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever
I think
would make this more enjoyable for you. And it was really a great experience. Wasn't expecting it.
And I do want to tell this one story that we were walking around, and if you've listened to previous podcasts and the debate over the new Man of Steel movie and the new Batman, and well, especially the Man of Steel, and Anthony enjoyed it. Maybe didn't love it, but certainly enjoyed it more than the vast majority of people out there.
Yep.
And we were walking around randomly, and I was looking around, and I saw someone dressed in the Man of Steel costume. I was like, "Oh my God, it's the new Superman!"
Yep.
I'm like, "Look!" And then he's like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Look, it's the Man of Steel costume." And we turn around and he's gone. I swear he was gone. It was the trippiest thing ever. I was like, no, I swear he was right there, like 5 feet behind us, and then he was gone. So,
And I always thought people needed to buy stuff like that. But after talking to, again, the woman who did all my makeup, Padma, she was like, I can make that for you. Because apparently there's like latex like style patterns that you can just buy, and then it's just stitching them all together. So I'm just saying, in the future, we should probably all go as a unit, is what I'm saying. Like, if we're going to go.
Yeah. Maybe get a little deal if we buy in bulk.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, she'll hook it up.
So, I mean, I'm curious, I want to talk to you again after you go to these other conventions, because I wonder, what the experience will be like at a smaller show.
Oh, I'm in now. Like, you're not getting rid of me. I know where you live now. Now I'm coming up to do all these talks. No, yeah, I mean, like, now I'm real into going to these different conventions and seeing because the show is New York, right? New York or San Diego. Like, those are the show. I went to C2E2 in Chicago, which was a lot of fun. It was a smaller convention, but it was one of the better ones that I've been to.
I've heard good things about that.
Oh my God, it's so much fun. It's more open, which is great. So you're not kind of sardined in so much. But it's a great convention. There's a lot of really good talent there, a lot of really good artists, a lot of really good writers. And there's more area to walk, which might not seem like a big deal when you're just dressed as a civilian, but when you're dressed up and you're like I'm in makeup that's already chipping off, I was like, which is another problem. Which, again, because I know nothing about the cosplay circuit, I'm like, I should have asked beforehand, but that was a big issue.
Yeah, and what about the heat? Because it gets hot in there, and there's so many people. Did you find you were sweating? Was makeup running?
So the only problem I had was chipping. I got water-based Meron white, and I should have went alcohol, but the alcohol, 16 ounces, is $99. And I'm like, I got a lot of tattoos. Like, that's a lot of money for 16 ounces. Is that even going to cover me? Like, that kind of thing. But if I'm going to continue to do this, yeah, I'm going to do that, because maybe one pass will cover it as opposed to 3 passes. But no, the heat didn't bother me. It ran out, and then Padma was there to do all the handling. She was like, whatever, let's dab you up. So we dabbed me up. And to be honest, the breaking in the makeup kind of looked like dry skin, so it worked for the imperfection of
Adds
the
to
outfit.
the effect. Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Now, were you there with any other missions? Like, were you there to shop or go to any panels, or you were there to be Lobo and take photos? I was just there
for a year and a month. I was like, I'm gonna be Lobo, and we'll see what happens. If no one takes a picture, that's fine. If people take a picture, that's great. I saw a bunch of panels I wanted to go to. Like, there was a DC panel I wanted to go to, but I only wanted to go to because I was dressed up as Lobo. It kind of takes over your experience. Yeah. You want to be seen, or at least I wanted to be seen. Like, if people are like, that's bullshit. Like, for me, that was like, that's why I wanted to go. And to be honest with you, it was the kids, man. Like, when a 10-year-old kid is like, he was dressed up as the Joker. He's like, that's Lobo. You're like, what? Like, you want to take a picture with me? Like, it was cool to kind of make little dreams come true like that. Like, it's dope. It's like I said before, it's like the Mickey Mouse effect. The dude in the Mickey Mouse outfit is some college kid who's an actor on the side. But when you're in the outfit, people know you're in a costume. They don't care. Like, they just want to be with you. They just want to be with you, and they want to take a picture with you, and you embody that person for the moment. You are a superhero for that moment, and it was a really big deal. Did you guys have, like, when you took pictures where you're like, I'm a somebody now, like, this is a big deal?
Well, I always think that, so I wasn't. No, there definitely was that feeling of, like, especially for the first few, it was like, wow, this is cool. Like, they want a picture with me. Like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know. It was kind of surreal, honestly. Because like I said, going in, I was like, this might happen, but I didn't think it would happen as quickly as it did, or as often as it did, or with as much enthusiasm as it did.
Yeah.
So it was really neat.
I actually thought we would be taking pictures of other cosplayers more than
I thought the
people
same
would be
thing.
taking pictures of us.
I thought the same thing. And when you left the convention floor and went outside, did you guys go outside?
We did just
Not really. I
2
mean,
blocks.
It's a brand new experience. When you leave the convention, not leave the convention, when you go through those 2 main doors to where like all the food trucks were,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
that area downstairs, it is like photographer central. It's where everybody wants to stop everyone and take pictures.
We were exhausted by the end of the day, and we were walking out, and I kind of did notice that people were gathered and there were a lot of people in costume, and I said to him, I'm like, oh, should we hang out here for a little while? And what was your response?
Let's get out of here.
He's like, call the Uber.
Dude, you can't. I'm telling you, like, you haven't lived until you've been down in that center area. Like, there's, I guess maybe again, I know nothing about it, but photographers set up deals to kind of be down there, and they have their own little setup placed, and people just take like that's what you do. The cosplayers go out into that center area and just take nothing but pictures with random people, man. Dude, you got to live the full experience, guy. You can't go there half-assed. You got to live the full experience.
I know. Listen, I keep saying we dipped our toes in the water, but I
Yeah.
really feel
It's
like
over now.
Yeah.
It's a cool subculture. It's like a cool second culture within the con that's going on.
What did your son think of it?
So we FaceTimed in my son, and I said, "Hi, Pibs." Like I call him Pibs. It's just one of the 1,000 nicknames he has. His name is Hunter Danger, but I call him Pibs. To the point I call him that so much he doesn't even know what his fucking name is. He's like he heard my voice, and he's like, "Daddy, I can't see you," and I'm looking right at him. He didn't know it was me. And I was like, that's okay, I'll talk to you later. And he goes, okay. Like, he looked at my face and didn't know it was me. So he was just like, whatever, I can't see you. Like, that was his immediate response.
When he gets a little older, did you ever read the Young Justice comic book series?
Yeah.
With Teen Lobo and then Slobo? Remember that? Yeah. Would you consider having him if he wanted to?
That kid can dress up whenever he wants. Like, we were going to take him this year, but we only didn't take him because we're paranoid parents. Like, people lose kids. Like, that's just a lot of people to be around, and it's a lot of people to kind of gauge him around. And we went to Disney, and he was not having it. Like, he was not.
Then, Comic-Con.
He's not a group of people.
Yeah, no.
No.
Sounds like a little you.
Yeah, we get along well.
And we got him a dragon costume for Halloween, and he doesn't even like to put that on. So, let alone putting makeup on for anything else. Nah, that's definitely not happening.
So, moving forward, I know you have these other conventions coming up, and you said that you plan to stick with Lobo as your character of choice. It didn't seem like there was anything you needed to do better or different than what you already did, but are there any things that you're planning to incorporate into the costume moving forward?
There's the bullet bandolier to go along the chest, which I've kind of seen before, but that's more out of like the Injustice video game. But outside of looking more like a Jim cartoon character, again, my friend Robbie works at Body Delights in Belleville. He was like, listen, you come in, we're going to put you on a cocktail that's going to make you good for next year. I was like, don't give me no illegal shit. He's like, it's barely legal. I'm like, let's do it. Like, so like I showed up for that because that was a big deal. Because I don't want to be, I don't want to be fat Lobo, but I also don't want to be skinny Lobo either. So like he knows my plan for next year is to do Lobo again. He was like, let's hook it up. He's like, a lot of that is you. Like, you got to look a certain way. So not doing too much else to the costume, because I've scoured my comics and the internet for different Lobo pictures. I kind of nailed all the little aspects, like, from the lantern rings to the trophies to, besides being in head to foot leather, which is going to be hot in December. I can't really do anything else. I would love to, but I can't really do more. Like, he's not a character that's had 30,000 different looks.
Right.
At one point he shaved his head and had like a rainbow of hair in the front, but like you want to be something that people recognize.
If you don't mind telling me a little more about the workout routine, I'm very curious about this. God. So you said twice a day, every day?
It's twice a day. I'd be up at 3:45 in the morning, and then I'd roll into the gym at 5, and I would do like the hour-long CrossFit routine. And then after school, I would go back to the gym and do like a regular bodybuilding routine and do some cardio. And then you have to scan all your food. Like, at least for me, it was important to do that. So it was like, you need 175 carbs a day, 200 grams of protein a day, and 70 fats. So I'm sitting there on my phone at places like scanning in food, because you want to make sure that you kind of stay within those limits. That's where the biggest part came from. I give props to everyone who worked on my outfit. That's awesome. Good for them. My part was like eating right. And as someone who has a sugar, like I have a salt tooth, I don't have a sweet tooth. Like, you can put a cake in front of me, I'll pass that all day. You gave me a pretzel, and I'm like, it's the greatest thing I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, that's Steph.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing?
Yep.
So the goal after the year-long Lobo was going to P.F. Chang's, which I added on as like an extra. I was like, when I get done, I'm going to go have a Great Wall of China cake, which is like a 14-layer chocolate cake with raspberry drizzle on it. I'm like, that's going to be my goal.
Wow.
So for the week after Lobo, I ate like shit. I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory. But it was totally worth it, man. I mean, the workouts were hard. Getting into the gym was hard. You know, some mornings you wake up, you just don't want to do it. But it's so weird how that becomes your goal. And you're like, I can't look like A when I go. I have to look like B. And it's a tough hustle, man.
Yeah. No, like I said, I saw the videos and everything. The bandana that you wear around your face. I mean, that's very hazardous looking.
So the bandana is because I hate lifter face. Like, I don't know. Like, you
I
go to
know.
the gym, obviously. When you start making those weird faces, I hate lifter face. So the bandana's for lifter face. It also looks kind of menacing, which I guess is okay. But yeah, it was like, if I'm going to go and do it right. And then for this year, I'm like, I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to do it bigger and better. Like, we got so specific. I counted like a fucking idiot. I can't believe I did this. I counted the rivets on the back of the jacket on the front of Lobo's back and made sure that it was the same amount of rivets. Like, that's stupid.
No,
Like,
I agree with that. I like the authenticity, making sure it's just with Elektra's shirt, I was like, well, it's got to be a half zip. It can't be full zip. Like, I got to find a shirt. And then I couldn't, like, I'd ordered a vest, and I was like, all right, and then I was looking at pictures one day, and I was like, that's a dance top. And I'm like, all right,
So
I
were
need
you
to go
worried
on
about
dance
that
website.
So when did you start getting worried about that? Like, when you were worried about authenticity, did it start from the beginning?
Oh, from the beginning.
Did
'Cause
you really?
That's just me. It has to be like on point.
So both you guys are worried
Yes.
about authenticity from the beginning?
Well, I have a secret I need to confess.
Oh,
Shit, wait a
that
minute. This
I
is about
have
to get
not-
spicy. Hold on.
Podcast
So
revelation.
it was a somewhat last minute ordering of the walking stick, of Matthew's walking stick. And the truth is, the colors aren't quite right. It goes, the colors on your
She's
stick
awesome.
are
That's a keeper.
white, red. And in the show, it's actually, I think, all white and just one portion is red.
Oh, no.
And it's actually a little shorter than it should be, but I didn't want to tell you beforehand, but that's...
It was all a lie.
That's it, man. Pack it in. You're done.
That's okay. Well, I mean, this isn't a secret. I knew it, but the glasses that she ordered for me, they were ladies' glasses.
No, they weren't.
You told me they were.
No, not ladies' glasses. They were Elton John or glasses, or they
Oh,
were
I thought you told me they
Beatles
were-
glasses. They
Oh,
had said,
all
or
right.
John, either Elton John or John Lennon glasses.
Either it didn't
yeah,
stop
they
me
weren't
either way.
ladies'
I still wore
glasses.
them.
Yeah.
I only saw a couple of the Matt Murdock Daredevils out there, and one guy actually used his cane on the con floor to the point where I was like, is he actually blind? Like, I had to ask the question if he was blind or not, because it's a great costume. Like, if you're rocking it, you might as well rock it to the full, to the fullest of your ability.
There was definitely one point where I was trying to cross and I heard someone say, "Oh, let him go first." And I think he thought I was blind.
You never know, man. Like,
You
some
don't-
people
yeah.
play it off. Like, this dude who I saw had the cane out the entire time, not just kind of walking with it, but actually walking with it in front of him. And I was like, oh my God, like, talk about authenticity. Like, you're a blind guy playing Matt Murdock. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Look, if I were blind and I were going to cosplay, that's who I would be. Why, Now, so I know you said you were there to cosplay. Did you buy anything? Or no?
For the first year, because of the amount of sideshow statues and Hot Toys things, I was already in the hole anyway. So, no, I did buy a Frank Cho print, because when I went up to him, he was like, it's the best Lobo I've ever seen. I'm like, well, I wanted to meet you anyway. And there was no line, which for me, I was like, that's crazy. So I bought a Frank Cho print, and my wife bought a couple of Maleficent prints because she's a big fan of Maleficent. But before Sans Baby, BC, we had a bunch of money. So when we went to C2E2, we bought everything because we had the expendable ink. We didn't have a house. We didn't have anything like that. And now this time we kind of went low and we were just like, whatever, let's just buy like little stuff. But yeah, it was just like prints from artists that we liked and stuff like that. But no, not really a big fan of it. It seems like when you go to cosplay, that is your number one concern. You don't want to carry around anything that the character wouldn't carry around.
Right.
So when I went and bought a beer at 9 o'clock in the morning, which the people were like, fucking really? Did you just buy a beer at 9 o'clock in the morning? I nursed it for like 3 hours because I'm not really a big drinker. So I walked around with the beer because Lobo would have a beer. So like that's the extent of what I bought when I was there. Yeah, but I mean, I saw a bunch of people I liked, but I didn't really buy anything.
Yeah, that's interesting that you brought it. You didn't want to be carrying something that Lobo wouldn't carry. I did the same thing. I'm like, I can't bring a purse because Elektra doesn't
wouldn't have a purse.
She doesn't carry around a purse.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, you could carry a briefcase.
And I did. Well, it's funny because, again, this is the first time I cosplayed, and every convention I've gone to, it's like you always have a backpack.
Yeah.
It's like you bring a backpack. So if you buy stuff or if you bring an extra shirt or, whatever. So it was weird to wrap my head around the idea of like, I'm going to wear dress shoes and then carry a briefcase and not have my backpack.
Yeah.
But it worked
With
out
my
very
lip
well.
gloss in it.
Yeah, which I didn't even know. You snuck that in there.
You start making accessories based on what you need to carry. When the sideshow statue that I have has Lobo with these 4 pouches with these skulls on them. And I asked my friend Padma, who tagged her friend Jeremy. She's like, "Can we make these pouches?" She's like, "Yeah, it's no problem. He's a leather worker, so he did it in like a day." And I had a pouch designated for each of the different things that I needed to carry. So my cell phone and wallet was in another. The dolphin stickers and the Bite Me Fanboy pins were in another, and like all my personal stuff. So like you need extra places to hold stuff because you don't want to carry it out like that. So yeah, I could definitely relate.
Yeah, we only made one purchase. It was really more me. It's actually sitting over there. It's the Funko Pop Megazord figure.
So a friend of mine was like, "Can you go grab me a pop thing?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem." Didn't know the craziness that would be like the Toy Tokyo line. I was like, I'm not getting you this thing. The line is too big. Apparently there was a lottery that you have to enter before.
Yep.
We all won it last year. This year nobody won. So it's a pretty big deal. That thing is awesome though.
Yeah, I'm waiting on the Dragon Zord as of this recording, which just came out. So we'll see.
Dude, that old school 12-inch Superman you have, I have the Batman and Joker that goes with it. That thing is awesome. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I got that. I was, I don't know, 5 or 6 when I got that. And I kept it all these years.
Classics, man.
Yeah.
You got to hold on to that stuff. And again, then you die and no one cares, so you got to pass it on to somebody else.
So, I mean, anything else you want to share about the convention or cosplay experience?
No, just, everyone was really nice. People took a lot of pictures. It was fun to hang out with other people who were all dressed up. Yeah, I mean, I'll never go as me again, that's for sure.
No, well, I mean, congrats on everything you did. I mean, like I said, I was so tremendously impressed, and it was cool to watch your progress along the way. All the workout stuff was very inspiring.
Yeah, man, it's definitely addicting. Like, I don't know if you guys had the same thing, but it's definitely like, wow, like I can never go just as me. Like, I can't be another face in the crowd. Like, I know it sounds so bad to say, but I can't just be like random dude in the crowd. Like, I want to be in the spotlight. Like, that's kind of dope. Like I listened to your first podcast. I mean, I obviously listened to them all, but the first podcast with the guy from the comic shop was like, I don't want to be in the spotlight. I'm like, I'm the complete opposite. Like that's kind of awesome. Like to just be the person that everyone knows for the day.
Yeah, no, it's I'm so glad that we did our cosplaying for a number of reasons. But one of them is that as I'm hearing you describe this, it's like, I get it. And I wouldn't have gotten it had we not had that experience. But it's like I understand, and I can imagine what it was like for you because you really went all out for this. So yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, people yelling your name from across the room is really weird, but weird in like a really good way.
I'm sure you experience this too. They're not saying like, "Hey, it's a Lobo," or it's, "Hey, that guy's dressed up as Lobo." They're like, "It's Lobo."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they were saying, "Hey, Matt Murdock," not like, "Oh, there's a guy dressed as Matt Murdock," or "Hey, Elektra." And so that's, I mean, it is a little surreal.
No, I mean, like I said, I hadn't been to New York Comic Con in a long time, and I feel like maybe now this will be a regular. I don't know if we could do all 4 days, but I feel like we would go again next year. Do
Yeah,
maybe a couple
certainly.
days this time.
So that's set every year around for our anniversary. That's what we're gonna do. No.
Look, man, apparently I can make one phone call and we can have passes for New York. So now you have no excuse. Now we're going next year dressed up.
All right.
You got to do Superman and you got to
Group
hoist me
costumes.
over your head.
We'll practice that.
Okay.
It's like the lift from Dirty Dancing, guy. We can do it. Don't worry about it.
I love how you call people guy, because I had one. I don't call anybody guy, but there was this one moment in Dunkin' Donuts a couple of years ago where the person in line in front of me left his keys, and I noticed that, and he was about to leave. He was walking outside, and again, I don't address anybody as guy. I just don't. And out of nowhere, I was like, hey, guy. Guy, you left your keys.
Apparently, it's a very New York, Staten Island thing to do, because my friend Gina, who's an amazing singer, she was like, "You're from New Jersey. Why do you call people guy?" I'm like, I have no fucking idea. But she was like, "Yeah, it's really weird that you do it, because it's usually a New York thing." I don't know. I call everyone guy.
No,
Guy and ma'am are the two things. I called a lady who was bagging my groceries yesterday, ma'am. She was like, "I'm half your age." I'm like, all right, so should I call you guy? Like, what do you want me to call you? Because
It's like I call people one of two things. So
yeah, you could take your pick. Which one?
Well, Guy, I got to tell you, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for making the trip here and telling us about your cosplay and convention experience.
Dude, I told you got me now. Now I'm going to be calling you every weekend and be like, who you got this weekend? Can I come down, hang out, talk?
Yeah, no, I definitely have to have you again. This was really great. I hope you had a good time.
I did. I did. This was a blast. I can't wait to go home and tell my wife about it.
Awesome. Well, I mean, for any listeners out there, again, definitely go to the My Comic Shop History Facebook page. I'll be posting photos of Justin's cosplay and his collection. But you may very well have already come across some photos of his Lobo, or you might yet. So definitely keep an eye out for that, and keep an eye out for Lobo at these future conventions.
And to anyone thinking about dressing up, do it. Just do it. Doesn't matter what you look like. Like, I know I was really particular about how I looked, but do it. It is surreal. Like, it'll blow your balls off. Like, the experience of just getting stopped. And so if you're ever on the edge about doing it, it is 150% worth getting dressed up, getting the costume, getting hooked up with a bunch of people who make really cool props. Like, that's what they do. Get the independent people, have them make their costumes, have them make your costumes for you, and just do it, man. It's definitely an amazing experience. I recommend it 190%.
Just don't do Lobo.
No, that's mine. That's mine. You can't do that.
Yeah, find your own thing.
Or do it better than me, because then it gives me a new height to reach.
Well said. Well, I echo that sentiment. I think it's a really cool way to experience a convention. So if you're open to it, give it a shot. All right. Well, thank you to both of you for being part of this episode.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.
My pleasure. Thank you to everyone for listening. Just keep punching.